All right. Welcome back to All Cars Reacts, my beautiful viewers. Yes, I'm trying out a new intro there. It is time to wrap up the mini-series I've been doing reacting to the mid to late 2000s small cars. It's time to move on, probably to mid-size cars. And I need to thank the viewer who mentioned the 2008 Saturn Astra. As a Saturn fan, a big one, I barely consider this a Saturn, and totally forgot this was a contemporary to the Corolla and the Civic and the Focus and the Jetta and everything else we've been covering around that 2008 model year. So I figured this was an appropriate place to wrap up this portion of the mini-series. So as always, you and I are just going to reminisce a little bit, sit down in our comfy chairs. I don't have a fire, but I have the heat on because it's like 47 degrees outside. Grab your beverage of choice. We have the last dregs of coffee here this morning. And let's see what Motorweek said about the, well, Opel.
Saturn's current mission is to be the most European of all GM's U.S. brands. And there's plenty of European influence in their Aura sedan and the Outlook crossover. And the new Saturn Vue is a clone of Germany's Opel Antara. Well, now Saturn is launching another European import, the Astra Compact. The Astra is the best-selling car in Europe and a major departure from all Saturn small cars before it. But while Americans love everything European in luxury cars, are they ready to warm to the Astra?
That is a wrong statement. For a couple of different reasons. First off, Opel is not a luxury car manufacturer over there, but repeatedly General Motors has felt they could take Opels and bring them to America, have that Germanic DNA, and suddenly Americans would love it as much as they love BMWs and Mercedes. And it has been proven over and over again that's not true. If you wonder what I'm talking about, well, just consider the Cadillac Catera is a great example. But I'll step down off my soapbox. Let's get them into it.
So unfiltered is its translation for Saturn, the new Astra takes its place alongside the Volkswagen Rabbit as a European compact car in the purest sense. But while the Rabbit is entry-level, Saturn is after a more premium status for its Astra. In Europe, the Astra is available in a wide variety of body styles and trims, including a convertible. For the U.S., the Astra is limited to 5-door hatchbacks in XE and XR trim and the sportiest XR 3-door. The Astra has a wheelbase of 102.9 inches and an overall length of 170.5 inches, slightly longer than a Rabbit. But rather than the Rabbit's box, the Astra's profile delivers a windswept rally car look. This hatchback's taut and athletic persona is marked by large headlamp clusters, short overhangs, prominent wheel arches, and a steeply raked windshield. About the only Saturn hardware is the horizontal grille and badging. Ditto the back end with its shiny trim bar and oversized wraparound taillights. The 5-door model offers 16 or 17-inch wheels, while the sportier 3-door can be bumped up to optional 18-inchers. Our front drive...
Before they go on to the engine, let's roll back here. Okay, let's talk about the styling here. There's so much about this car that I hate, not the least of which is that when Saturn was conceived, it was to directly compete with the Japanese manufacturers in terms of manufacturing efficiency, the feel of the car, the reliability, and exceed them in every way in customer service. But GM stopped investing into, admittedly, a money-losing division, and they just started bringing in other cars from the GM portfolio. And they did with Saturn what they tried to do with Cadillac, and they also tried to do with Buick, right? They picked Opel and started bringing those cars over here. And this is such a wrong-headed car. The first is that for Saturn fans, it's just not a Saturn. Okay, it's for multiple reasons, whether it's plastic panels designed in America, built in America by UAW members with their own unique agreement in Spring Hill, Tennessee. It's just not a Saturn. And as we'll see in a minute, it doesn't have a Saturn engine. It's got just a General Motors engine in it. And it's wrong-headed because, well, they're going after the Golf. So they have in Europe multiple body styles. Americans don't like hatchback cars very much. The Golf is an exceptional car, but it never sold as well as the Jetta. So why bring a competitor for one of the smaller selling segments, or specifically a small selling segment that has been traditionally considered cheap? All right. Think about the old Dodge Colts or Omni and Horizon and all of these other cars. They were just cheap, the Chevette. It's such a wrong-headed move, like they were trying to make a hatchback popular. That being said, I actually think this is a pretty cool little car. If it wasn't a Saturn, this is a pretty cool looking car. I think the headlight clusters are awkwardly large. I don't want to hang on it too much because I like the projector headlights, but they're just a little awkwardly sized and a little smoky, which I guess I would probably not like it if they were crystal clear, but it just looks a little off. I like the rear of it a lot, the little triangular tail lights that they use. And the profile, I question that. When I think of the Golf, I think of excellent space utilization. Make it a little shorter, but make it a little taller, and you just end up with the perfect little vehicle. Here, they're going for swoopy, which to me just makes the car look longer, bigger, and smaller inside. It looks more compromised. Well, we'll find out when they look at the interior how right that opinion is, but visually, it looks like a Subaru Impreza to me. Not that it's a mirror image of one, right? It's not a carbon copy, but some of the same decisions to make it more rally. They said rally styled. Doesn't say efficient people mover. Yeah, I liked it when it came out. I thought it looked pretty cool, but the more I looked and the more I looked at them, just the less I liked the car overall. It's a shame they didn't bring some other body styles here, and a convertible, if they could have passed our safety standards, that would have been cool and would have been, if not unique, at least special in the marketplace. Let's see what they say about the engines.
Our front-drive Astras sport adequate power from a corporate Ecotec 1.8-liter 4 with variable valve timing. This quiet, peppy motor produces 138 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque. A 5-speed manual is standard, while the optional 4-speed automatic has a fuel-saving feature that shifts it into neutral at stops. Still, in this area, the Astra falls way short of the punchier 170 horsepower Rabbit. But the Astra's true talents are in its European driving dynamics.
Let's talk about that engine real quick, because that was an interesting observation by them, that it falls short of the Rabbit making 170 horsepower. They're reviewing this more as trying to review it anyway, more as a sportier car, and so they're dinging the engine and the powertrain overall. I disagree with that. When new, if you created a spreadsheet and you looked at, again, the Focus, Civic, Corolla, Jetta, and everything else, this is a competitive power for the engine. With 4-speed automatic, it's competitive. It's not screaming, oh my gosh, that's amazing, but it's competitive. I don't have a super good opinion of the Ecotec engine overall. That's all I got to say about that. I never thought it was as smooth as some of the other engines that were out there, and longer term, I don't think it was as good an engine. But just from the numbers, it's competitive, and I think that what they did was an unfair comparison there.
Thankfully, Saturn did not soften the Astra to American taste. We experienced its agile handling and fun-to-drive feel on the sweeping roads in and around San Diego. The Astra proved itself to be solid and nimble, with exceptionally good cornering prowess. This bold performer also delivers a compliant luxury sports sedan ride. It utilizes an independent front strut suspension coupled with a semi-independent rear torsion beam design. The more enthusiastic three-door Astra features more aggressive suspension tuning with a 15-millimeter lower ride height. Stability control and traction control are standard on the three-door Astra and optional on the five-door. The electro-hydraulic steering is quick and responsive, offering two configurations, a 15-to-1 standard ratio and a tighter 14-to-1 sport ratio on the three-door. Braking is by four-wheel disc with standard ABS. Inside
so we're not going to get any, looks like, I don't know, there's a lot left. It doesn't look like we're going to get a lot of road testing here, maybe in a minute. Good equipment, you know. While I always like my four-door hatchbacks, I think that three-door looks pretty good, and it's because they lowered it. It made it a little sportier, and I do want to give credit where credit is due. While I don't think this car should have ever been a Saturn, it makes sense that I just realized Saturn became the new Geo. Okay? When they abandoned developing cars for Saturn that were Saturns, in-house designed, and they started bringing things over, whereas Geo was, let's compete with the imports by importing imports. They decided, let's compete with the imports by bringing in German cars. So it became I want to say a dumping ground for European cars, but kind of replaced Geo in that thought process at GM. That's okay, because they didn't soften it. You hear them say that? And that's so critically important, because over and over again, not just General Motors, but Ford and others have seen a good car that's popular in Europe, in Germany maybe, and said, hey, let's bring it to America, but we need to Americanize it. You know, we need to add more chrome and soften the suspension, whatever it happens to be. And they ruin it. They ruin the character. They ruin what makes it feel special somewhere else. Coincidentally, if we look back in history, when AMC was rescued by Renault and they started bringing in Renault products, they weren't given the funds to Americanize it enough. And so things like the dashboard ended up just being a little weird. So credit where credit is due, GM brought this over and tried to keep the character of a German car. Let's look at the interior.
Five-door XR Tester had a decidedly upscale cabin with the same kind of European control sophistication and confusion found on German luxury cars. Materials are of very good quality, as is overall fit and finish. The three-dimensional analog gauges are well positioned and a snap to scan. Topping the V-shaped center stack is a deeply set multi-informational display screen. It's a helpful feature for the stereo where controls defy American logic. You will need the owner's manual. And no auxiliary input jack will put off some younger buyers. But our XR did sport a long roster of widely sought-after amenities, like a tilt and telescoping steering wheel with audio controls, OnStar with turn-by-turn navigation, well-padded seats with available three-stage heat for cloth or leather, a huge two-tier glove box, and the segment's largest available dual-panel sunroof. The rear seat offers room for three in a 60-40 split folding feature. With seats folded down, our five-door Astra had a very useful total cargo volume of 44.7 cubic feet. That even beats a Rabbit. As for occupant safety, Astra is outfitted with a barrage of 6 standard airbags. This little hatchback...
I wish they had given the cargo space with the seats up. I need that comparison. Was it 12? Was it 13? Was it 14 cubic feet? It looks pretty large. And again, I feel this is kind of a slightly longer car compared to the Rabbit that they keep harping on. So I kind of feel like it was a good space. I remember it being a pretty good space back there. Up front, very mixed feelings about this dash. In terms of what they said, the quality of the materials, the feel of everything, I thought it was great. It was way beyond what the earlier Saturns had done a decade before. The gauges were great. The information display there in the center of the dash, I like where they're going, but it ended up just looking... It looked like an afterthought to me. The screen was really small, and then it was beveled in really harshly. it didn't work for me at all. It wasn't horrible. It just didn't work for me. But then the middle part right there, I've talked multiple times in these videos. I don't like that fake aluminized plastic. It looks cheap and it looks chintzy. If you think back to the Focus reaction I did, this is the same kind of feel. And then the radio, I don't know what to say. I really don't. It's all kind of miserable there in the middle. I don't like it at all. They said it was more upscale, but at the same time, the center part of it looks, I'm going to say, the worst of what we've seen. I dislike it that much. Really, really dislike the center stack of this, which is sad because I think the rest of the dashboard and kind of the interior treatments, I think it all looks pretty good. Let's go on.
Is efficient too. Government fuel economy ratings are 24 city, 32 highway on regular gas, again higher than the more powerful Rabbit. Base prices are slightly higher than a Rabbit too. The 5-door XE starts at $15,995, while the 5-door XR has a base sticker of $17,545. The sporty and up-level 3-door XR begins at $18,495. Saturn's reincarnation as GM's most Euro-spec division is for real. The 2008 Astra, along with the new View, are compact European designs to the core. The Astra is a terrific match for families that already own a larger European luxury car, or would like to. Bringing the best of Opel to America is what a global GM should be doing, and we hope they keep it up.
That strong close there at the end. I mean, that was extremely positive. I don't share that positivity, but that kind of review makes you understand why when GM was declaring bankruptcy, they were trying to fight for Saturn because it gave them an outlet for this. Again, I want to give credit to GM here for taking a European car and bringing it here without ruining it in the process. Good for them. And the, whatever they were calling it at the time, the midsize car, it wasn't bad. It was, a global platform for GM with global engines and everything else. So it wasn't necessarily a European car brought here. But it was a fine performer like a Chevy Malibu, but it wasn't better than what the Japanese were doing. Let's go back. Fuel economy here. It was fine. It was competitive. We've seen some that do worse. We've seen some that do better. It keeps it in the hunt. If you're looking for the best fuel economy, this may not be the one you want. The price is what ruined it for me. If I always go back to the Corolla as kind of the standard here, and its range was somewhere like 15 to 17,000, something like that. The Jetta was a little bit above it. The Focus would be cheaper. This falls in the middle, but it falls kind of shifted at the more expensive end, especially when Saturn tried to not negotiate on things. So you could get a $14,000 car over here, 15, or start at 16 for the base level here. Ooh, that's a hard sell, even if you're getting that European flavor out of it. So competitive power, competitive, let's say, interior, competitive in almost every single way, well loaded, and a European flavor. There's a lot to like here, and that's how they finished this. And so as this is going to be, yes, the last of the compact miniseries, I hate to finish with this one because to me, it's a betrayal of what Saturn was founded as. And along with the other products they had, they became just another GM division with the same problems GM had with reliability, durability, and in some cases, the quality of materials. And so what you have here is it's a Saturn in name only. I think I would absolutely love one of these cars. If it held up, if it was reliable, I think I would absolutely love one of these cars because it hits all of my high points. 4-door hatchback, kind of American, kind of. It's a Saturn. The interiors, I think I'd probably get used to the center stack. I'm trying to make a lot of excuses here because it's a Saturn, but also the way it drives, I think I would just like this car. But as it's presented here with the limited number of body styles, the pricing, and everything else, well, if you're going to spend that kind of money for a small car, I kind of feel the Jetta's the better buy. I don't know. This is so sad to me. It is a trip down memory lane, and I appreciate you taking it with me, but this is the end of Saturn. And objectively, it's a good, fun, cool car, but it's not a Saturn, and it just makes me sad to be even talking about the whole thing. Where would I rank it? I'm not going to do that right now. I know it isn't first. For the price, I'd rather have a Focus. You know, at least it's vaguely European for thousands of dollars less potentially. You know, the Corolla is going to be more reliable. The Civic is going to be more reliable. I think the Jetta is probably going to be an overall better car, less limited. So, and the Caliber has more personality, but is not nearly as good a car, in my opinion. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. Let me know what you think of the Astra, and if by slim chance you happen to own one, I would love to hear. What was your experience? How did it hold up? Was the engine reliable? Did you love it? Were you sad when Saturn closed? Because I was, but just probably for a different reason. Thanks so much for being here, y'all.